Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You of course can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to Thursday's edition of the DCEU Daily. We've got David Zaslav of Discovery moving to LA once the merger's done. Hiram Garcia talks about Flashpoint, and Andy Muschietti and whether or not Black Adam will deal with any of that. And he talks about Superman as well. And there's so much more going on today's DCEU Daily, so you're very welcome. Now, remember, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Man. Of course, why do I tell you this? Because throughout the day, I retweet all the big DC news, but not only that, I'm a big, passionate fan of entertainment in television, streaming, movies, whether it's theatrical and streaming again. So you will not miss a thing if you follow me on Twitter. So let's start Thursday's edition of the DCEU Daily. Discovery CEO moving to LA after Warner Media merger. I'm going to be very hands-on. David Zaslav says he'll have an office on the Warner Brothers studio lot and has ideas about unified leadership structure at the merged firm, but isn't ready to present them yet. By George Zasley of The Hollywood Reporter. And Discovery CEO David Zaslav will move to Los Angeles to run the new content giant to be created by the merger with AT&T's Warner Media, which is expected to close by mid-2022, the executive said Wednesday. This is, of course, very, very interesting. By the way, they may be selling this as a merger, but Discovery have bought Warner Media in its entirety, and when this is ratified by the government, Discovery will be Warner Brothers. And that's the end of it. And David Zaslav is the CEO. He will be the CEO of Warner Discovery. Things are going to change rapidly. I'm not just saying this to you. This is blatantly obvious. I am moving to California, specifically LA, with an office on the studio lot because that is where the content is made. This is a content company. The man who will be CEO of the combined Warner Brothers Discovery told the Pali Center's Pali International Council Summit in a session that was webcast, I'm going to be very hands-on. And if you're Ann Sarnoff or Toby Emmerich or even Walter Hamada, you're starting to get worried now because you do not buy a company like this, and sit in Australia while you bring in the money, because there will be no money. They've bought this company, they've invested a lot of time. Warner Brothers needs clearing out and sorting out, and they know this, and they're going to do so many great things with the studio, and I'm so excited. And if you're a fan of DC, for example, DC is a big thing because they know that's where the money is. So big changes with DC as well, again, but you've got to keep on shoveling the shit so it doesn't stink anymore, right? Anyway, I am moving to California, specifically the LA, with an office on the studio lot because that is where the content is made. This is a content company, and a man who will be CEO of the combined Warner Brothers Discovery told the Paley Center, I've already read this, haven't I? I'm going to be very hands-on, he added. The better our content is, the better chance we have of being leading media company in the world. So you can see the ambition already. It's brilliant. Zaslav said that he would, however, return to the East Coast regularly to visit other key operations, including CN, yes, because Warner Media owns CN. So he's going to be covering everything. It's really, really interesting that one of these kind of box office gurus was saying, well, he's only the CEO. He's got people to do those jobs. You don't understand, do you? You don't understand business, do you? A CEO runs the company. Yes, the CEO will decide who's doing what, and they have to report to the CEO. But if anything goes wrong with the company and it's not making the money, this person projected, then he loses his position or her position as CEO. So this person isn't just a doll. So he's going to be very hands-on, as he was with Discovery. You people have no idea. Anyway. So will Zaslav look to hire a creative chief or other managers in between his CEO role? at the merged firm and the heads of Warner Brothers and HBO. We have ideas about the structure, he said, but added that he wasn't ready to present them yet. The industry veteran also addressed scale and consolidation in the media and entertainment industry. There will be substantial consolidation over the next 5 years, Zaslav predicted. I think we are now big enough and we have the artillery we need in this war of transition and disruption. Calling Netflix and Disney formidable competitors, he said that we have a bigger library than Netflix. Zaslav also touted the merged firm as the greatest media company in the world. It's not a merged firm. It's not going to be a merged firm. It's all Discovery. Forget. Basically, AT&T will still have, little shares, but they will not be making any decisions. They'll be collecting the profits. Anyway, asked about Netflix, he also said they seized the moment in a meaningful way when the media users wanting content anytime and any place. But Warner Brothers Discovery has advantages, Zaslav said, highlighting we can open a motion picture anywhere in the world. Other media companies, they are mostly pickers of content, but Warner is a maker, Zaslav said. Addressing the future of big creator deals, the Discovery chief suggested that I don't think those checks are going to continue because beyond Disney, Netflix, Warner Brothers, Discovery and Amazon, some companies may not be big enough to compete on the issue and they may not be able to rival the merged Warner Brothers Discovery. In terms of qualitative matters, yes, money matters, but the overall environment, including the trust, brands, platforms and support for creators is key for decisions where to set up as creative, he argued. And this is interesting because obviously with the, the day and date thing that upset a lot of creatives. Now, since this deal has not gone through, because obviously since this deal's been announced, David Zaslav has been talking to the people who have been upset, but he's been hanging around in LA, Hollywood, California, talking to very important creators, making sure that they understand that the theatrical model is important to him, although he will be focusing on streaming as well, and what happened here will never happen again, and no one will be disrespected. The question is, has David Zaslav spoken to Zack Snyder? Yes, I think he has. I'm saying that with some knowledge and some education, if you're wondering about that. So where are we here? Right, discussing theatrical films, Zaslav said, I believe in the motion picture business. He later also predicted that cinemas would stay in business for a long time. It is about community. I don't think that is going to change. Now, this is interesting because when Bob Chapek or one of those from other companies talks about the theatrical model, they say these kind of things where they believe in it, but not with such passion and say it's going to last forever. So it's interesting. This guy wants people to know out there that he believes in this system. Come to Warner Brothers. You can make cinematic, you can make films via the release window of the theatrical system. And that's great. Asked about the Dave Chappelle special controversy at Netflix, Zaslav said he saw the special, but I'm going to leave the specifics out of that to CEOs Reed Hastings and Ted Sarandos, but he emphasized the company was purpose-driven and wanted to make people feel safe while enjoying artistic freedom, saying that it would strive to strike that balance. And I think that's really a great way of sitting on the fence from Zaslav, saying, the Chappelle thing's fucking a clusterfuck, right? But although I want people to feel safe, I want people to have artistic freedom as well, aka like the situation with Snyder, but this is about stand-up comics as well. They must be free to say whatever they want because it's a joke, right? You shouldn't be offended about it. If you are offended by a comedian, don't watch his stuff, and that's my advice to you. News is very important because people wake up to it. Zaslav said when asked why Discovery was an investor in the conservative news network GB News. Now this is interesting because it is it is like a right-wing kind of thing, isn't it? So that is interesting. I didn't know this. Why Discovery was an investor in the conservative news network GB News in Britain. Asked what he thought of Fox News, he said, I think it is much more of an advocacy network than a news network. Yeah, that's true, isn't it? He compared it to Discovery's Food Network in that it's trying to appeal to a specific type of consumer. Yeah, conservatives. Last week, Zaslav unveiled that former top Disney executive and old friend Kevin Mayer would consult Discovery on the future of streaming as the planned merger close expected by mid-2022. Wow. Now that is good news if you're a Warner Brothers and HBO Max fan, because Meyer is a very, very talented guy, I can tell you that. So this is good stuff. They're going to throw everything at Warner Brothers and HBO Max and their theatrical system. If you're a fan of the IPs at Warner Brothers, you should be excited, because for once we've got serious fucking people, a serious fucking person going at this. This is very exciting. He declined to comment on the future of other individuals at this stage when asked about plans for CNN boss Jeff Zucker, who is an old friend of his. Well, probably his job's safe, right? Nah. As I say, he will throw anyone under the bus to make this company better, and I think that's right. Among the venture and entertainment industry executives, he has talked to us. He looks to learn as much as possible about movies and the history and future of film business. He mentioned that the likes of Sherry Lansing, Warner legends Bob Daly and Barry Mayer, and former Time Warner CEO Jeff Books have helped him with their insights, saying it has been a great luxury. He has also talked to such creatives as Chuck Lorre, Greg Berlanti, Rob Reiner, and Larry David, saying it's a great treat for me. These are kind of my heroes. I love this business. Discovery and AT&T are moving through the regulatory review process of the planned merger without problems so far, seeing broad support for it. Zaslav has said in early August, AT&T CFO Pascal Descroches similarly told an investor conference in September that he couldn't be more pleased with the regulatory review process so far. We are really pleased with how that is moving forward, he said, adding there is no reason why this merger should not be approved. That's brilliant news. I think it is for us. In mid-May, Discovery unveiled the mega merger with Warner Media, with Zaslav set to lead the combined company. Let me explain something to you before we finish this article as well, because David Zaslav is the CEO of Discovery. If this was actually a real merger, then Stanky would stay as CEO, but that's not going to happen. And, you know, people like Jason Kelo, but that's not going to happen because he is the CEO of Discovery. Now, him becoming the CEO of Warner Discovery fucking means they own the fucking company. Forget the merger thing. Officially, it's a merger. But AT&T are not going to be running this company anymore. It's just as simple as that. And that's a good thing, everyone. AT&T stockholders will receive shares representing 71% of new firm. Basically, the agreement is you'll have the shares, but you will not be involved with any big decisions. That's the point. But a new firm with Discovery shareholding owning with Discovery shareholders owning the other 29%. The merged company is expected to have $52 billion in revenue in 2023, and the companies are targeting $3 billion in cost synergies. He and CEO Gunnar Wiedfels also said last week that the combined firm's debt burden would be lower than originally expected, making the executive team even more optimistic about their ability to quickly reduce post-merger debt load. Wow, that's amazing. Streaming will be a top focus for the combined Warner Brothers Discovery, with Zaslav repeatedly saying it had the content breadth and depth and creative relationships to challenge the biggest streamers such as Netflix and Disney+. Disney+, by the way, haven't had the subscriptions they projected they were. Remember when they were going to destroy Netflix? Yeah, that was never going to happen, was it? Discovery last week disclosed that it reached 20 million paying streaming subscribers worldwide to its direct-to-consumer services. By the way, that's good because it's Discovery, not Disney+, including Discovery Plus as of end of its third quarter on September 30th. Global HBO and HBO Max subscribers rose by 1.9 million to 69.4 million in the third quarter, which is also very good, if you didn't know. For Wednesday's Paley Center event, Zaslav was interviewed by the New Yorker's Ken Oleta, with the session being entitled Creating a Media Behemoth. So that's brilliant. Yeah, brilliant article, brilliant news. So what does this all mean for us? Right, first of all, let's talk about you and me, us Snyder fans out there. And I know some of you were watching this saying, we don't want Snyder back, right? I understand. And this is a channel and a show for all DC fans and everyone who loves, you know, entertainment in general. But I'm talking about us people who want Snyder back, who want to see his Justice League 2 and Justice League 3. Listen, this is very, very important, because this is not just a little takeover. This is the biggest takeover in the entertainment industry. This is bigger than Disney buying Fox. That's how big it is. It's huge, and people are underplaying it, but it's huge. So this guy Zaslav is coming in. So what happens when someone comes in and takes over a company or a merger, right? They have to have an audit. They have to investigate how the company's run, and if the people running the company are good enough to carry on running the company. But in truth, Zaslav will bring in his own people, and he will clear out people that he doesn't want there. It doesn't matter if they're the best or the worst. Normally, this happens. He will think, who will do me the best job? So people are going to listen. He's taken a lot of advice in the past 6 months, since May. That's interesting, which means he knows where the bodies are buried now. He's been talking to people outside of Warner, inside of Warner. He knows who's doing a good job and who's not doing a good job, who's hurting the company and who's progressing the company. So he's going to make a lot of big decisions. Now, of course, once the merger is announced, you're not going to hear the Snyderverse has been restored or this one's been fired. It's going to take time. But it's going to happen. You may even see some people quitting before the merger goes through. Now that would be great. So good things are coming. Good things are coming. And of course, we look at the current plans for the DCEU, which is very interesting. Now, I think what will happen with the merger going through being ratified, it obviously won't be ratified by the release of the Batman. So that is Warner Brothers, studios' time to get successful movies of their current plans before Zaslav comes in. Otherwise, they're in trouble already. So, I think they won't ratify this deal before the release of the Batman, but I think by the release of Black Adam, this merger will be ratified, and that's when doors will be kicked down. So, every film next year, their plans have to do well next year. You may see, it may be for about 6 to 12 months before we see any big changes at Warner Brothers. These films are going to be released, obviously. But people like Ann Sarnoff and Walter Hamada are under a hell of a lot of pressure, because what they're doing, the stuff they're releasing next year really has to be successful. But big changes at Warner Brothers, as we change from Warner Media to Warner Discovery. And as a fan of Warner Brothers and its IP, I couldn't be more excited for the future. Hiram Garcia has been a busy boy in the past few weeks, but he's been talking Black Adam. Black Adam producer Hiram Garcia on not going soft and crafting... Oh, it just jumped, sorry about that. And crafting a tough matchup for Superman. In an interview with The Wrap, the producer also talks about the Dwayne Johnson film's theatrical window and seeing the first director's cut. When Dwayne Johnson makes his DC debut in next year's Black Adam, the hierarchy of power in the DC universe will forever change. At least that's the promise Johnson and producer Hiram Garcia are making to fans who are eagerly anticipating Johnson's first blush with the superhero genre. Now, you may be hearing things in this interview that I've already read out, and you're shouting at the screen, but you've already told us this. But there are some interesting new nuggets here that I haven't read out to you before, and that's why I want to cover this article. Johnson has been flirting with the DC universe since 2007, and it's been a long road to getting to Black Adam made. The titular character that Johnson plays is an anti-hero, someone unafraid to get his hands dirty. And that's exactly the approach the filmmakers took to bringing Black Adam to life. In fact, that was the whole point of the first look footage revealed at Virtual DC Fandom event in October. Our goal was to not only excite the fans, but to let the world know the tone we are going for with this film. Now, this is interesting. They clearly want us to know this is a dark film and this is not just some silly MCU movie, which is really good. Garcia told The Wrap in an interview pegged to the release of Red Notice this Friday on Netflix. Even though the clip is short, the moment you see that the first person who approaches him doesn't live past that moment lets you know, okay, they aren't going soft with Black Adam. He means business, and that's what I mean. You know, this is not some kind of MCU movie. You know, this is going to be a brutal fucking movie. And that's good for the future of the DCEU, because that's how the DCEU started, with Zack Snyder. So let's at least keep that tone in some films now and again, right? We wanted to make sure people know that our tone was clearly different than some other of the other movies, but also that we're making sure we maintain the edge that Black Adam should have. That's the exciting thing about that scene. It lets fans know they are not going soft with this guy. He's a killer for sure. And that's great. That's what we want to see. You know, that is who Black Adam is. Don't dumb it down. Don't PG-13 it down. Give us what the fucking character has always been. Production on the film, which also stars Noah Centineo, Aldis Hodge, Sarah Shahi, Quintessa Swindell and Pierce Brosnan, wrapped over the summer, and Garcia, who serves as president of production at 7 Bucks Production, said the project benefited from the learning curve of making a movie during COVID that the 7 Bucks team encountered on Red Notice. That Netflix movie got about halfway through filming before the COVID shutdown, and when they returned to resume production, they had to adjust to a new normal. We were prepping Black Adam through the entirety of working on Red Notice, Garcia said, and the benefits that Black Adam had was everything that we were learning, testing and figuring out with regards to filming in this new pandemic landscape. Black Adam was benefiting from because we were able to implement that knowledge into Black Adam. Another DC film that was teased in DC fandom was The Flash, and this is what I want to talk about, which will introduce the idea of the multiverse to the DC universe, as it brings together Michael Keaton's Batman and Ben Affleck's Batman in the same movie. When asked whether Black Adam will address this multiverse idea, Garcia said he was unsure, meaning yes, but he doesn't want to say anything, but noted that everything in that DC universe we like to think of it is connected somehow. Yeah, so I think it's pretty obvious that Black Adam is in the Flash movie. Now, will we get a little Easter egg, a little foreshadowing about the Flashpoint movie in Black Adam, which is released quite a few months before the Flash movie? Very, very interesting. I think we will, and I think Black Adam is in the Flash movie as well. So that's awesome. Post-production on Black Adam is well underway, and Garcia has seen Jaime Collet Serra's early director's cut of the film, which he said is impressive despite its lack of any finished visual effects. Fans still have to wait until next summer to see the full scope of Johnson's DC film, but while Warner Bros. Has announced a return to an exclusive theatrical window in 2022, Garcia said he thinks Black Adam will adhere to the newer models coming out. Indeed, while theatrical window of the exclusivity was traditionally 90 days, before the pandemic, Warner Bros. Struck a deal with AMC Theatres for 45-day windows before any WB movie heads to HBO Max in 2022, slicing that older window in half. How does this window actually work? 45 days, HBO Max, then a month on HBO Max, and then you can rent it on iTunes, Apple, Amazon Video and things like that. Basically, what this means is these films get to your home quicker than before. Now, personally, I think in this environment, it's a very, very good thing. And as a fan of movies and all the other stuff in entertainment, I think this is a good thing. Now, obviously the movie theatres don't agree with that, but at the end of the day, this is progress. I mean, maybe progress is the wrong word, but it is progress. This is what's happening, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. The only way you could stop this is by not buying home media, so they did more in cinemas to kind of reduce their profit, but that's never going to happen, and why bother? Read the full portion of our interview with Garcia. Right. Where are you guys at in post-production on Black Adam? What's the status? Hiram Garcia, we just saw the director's cut and I'm very excited with what we have. I love Jaime, he's such a visionary. He's incredibly brilliant from day one. He has always understood that this character and what he wanted to do with it. When you see a director's cut, typically that's kind of the movie at its roughest form. There are no effects. It's the first thing they've assembled after you've wrapped. So when the movie's still big, fun and enjoyable, even though you're looking at tons of green screen people on harnesses and robotic arms, you know you're in a good place. We're very fired up. I can't wait for fans to see this. I think people are going to have a blast with this character. DJ is absolutely awesome as Black Adam. If there was ever anyone born to play a role, it's him as Black Adam. Seeing that and then the entire Justice Society together, it was awesome. I'm excited for you to see it. I think you're going to really dig it. This is something I've always wanted to make, and to be here now, deep into it, really is special. So basically, they're talking about Red Notice now, which we're not going to focus on. So that's the Black Adam portion of that interview. Look, it's very, very promising. Now, the reason that I was interested in these new excerpts and tidbits from this interview is the Flash stuff. So, will you be part of the multiverse? Now, of course, they will be part of the multiverse. He just talked about there, Hiram saying it's a shared universe. So, will we get a little hint, as I said before, as I was reading that, about Flashpoint in this movie? And also, are two things. Is the Justice Society of America and Black Adam in the Flash movie? Absolutely yes. They're being introduced there, so they could be there. This is the whole thing. This is a connective tissue. This is a connective cinematic, not just a cinematic, but live action franchise now on HBO Max and in cinemas. So this is very exciting. And I think some of the stuff he said there and crediting, you know, Andy Muschietti for the film, this is what you're going to hear. They're going to be asking these other directors about Andy's movie and Andy about the other movies, and they're all going to say nice things about each other because now they're a family. There's a connective tissue. This is what Ann Sarnoff is attempting to do. Not just create a connective tissue within the DC live action universe, but with the people who make the decisions and make this content. And I think that is the right way to go. And bring on Black Adam. So you may not know this, but sadly, or I don't really care by the way, but sadly for the fans of Supergirl, it finished a couple of nights ago. But one of the success stories of the Supergirl TV show, and it doesn't have many success stories, is Jon Cryer's Lex Luthor. Actually, Jon's portrayal of Lex really did pleasantly surprise me. Anyway, Supergirl's Lex Luthor actor wants to appear in DC Titans show. Supergirl's Lex Luthor actor Jon Cryer expresses his eagerness to return in one of DC's other shows, such as Titans, which he calls Pretty Great, by Elliot Griffiths. Jon Cryer, who played Lex Luthor on the CW Supergirl, has expressed his interest in returning to the role by crossing over onto DC's Titans. Cryer, who was most known for his role on 2.5 Men, was cast as the infamous Superman villain in Supergirl Season 4. Cryer had prior history with the Man of Steel, having played the nephew of Gene Hackman's version of Luthor opposite Christopher Reeve's Superman in 1987's Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. Returning to the DC Universe 3 decades later, Cryer took on the villainous persona himself to antagonise Melissa Benoist's Kara Danvers. Cryer's portrayal of Luthor has garnered praise, and his sly, sarcastic version of the character has proved a worthy adversary for Supergirl's last 3 seasons, including as part of the Arrowverse's huge Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover in 2019. It's interesting, right? These creatives who work on Supergirl created a really good version of Lex Luthor, and so has the actor. Why isn't everything else as good? I mean, I love Mel's Supergirl, but the development and what they've done with that character is ridiculous. So why does this character get a better treatment? Well, I'll tell you why. Because when they introduced him, basically they introduced him because this show was dying. This show was in trouble. You know, this character and this actor literally kept this show going for another couple of years just by being there and doing this great work. One of DC's other current flagship shows, Titans, is not part of the main canon of Supergirl. The Flash and Arrow, etc., but has had a successful run on HBO Max. The series, based on the comic book Teen Titans, has integrated several recognisable heroes and villains from the DC Universe over its 3-season run, including Superboy, Red Hood and Deathstroke. The series has just wrapped Season 3 in October with Episode 13, Purple Rain, but is set to continue with Supergirl Season... What? That doesn't even make any fucking sense. You're talking about Titans and you go on to Supergirl that's been cancelled anyway. Has just wrapped in Season 3 in October with Episode 13, Purple Rain. In an interview with Comic Book, Cryer talked about his time on Supergirl coming to an end and expressed his openness to return to the role in one of DC's other series. Cryer mentioned Titans in particular as a show that he thinks is pretty great. The actor went on to clarify that if the show found a great arc for him, he would be happy to find a way to come back. Cry also listed the CW's Flash and Superman and Lois as shows he would love to return in. See his full comments below. I had been feeling like this would be the end, but I also want to honour this version of the character. I like the Arrowverse, I think they do a great job with it. I think Superman and Lois is fantastic, I think Doom Patrol is fantastic, and Titans is pretty great. And Stargirl, I've only seen one episode, but it seems like fun. I thought Black Lightning was terrific, so I want to honour Lex in the Arrowverse. So if they've got a great arc for him on Superman and Lois, or The Flash, or Titans, or whatever, I'm happy to find a way to come back and be a part of that. Cry's role as Luthor seemingly came to an end following the series finale of Supergirl in Season 6, Episode 20, Kara, which aired on the CW on November the 9th. The successful 6-season run, oh god, typical screen rant. 6-season rant of Benoist Gill of Steel came to an emotional end, and Cry's appearance as Luthor was the actor's last confirmed credit in the show. The rest of the Arrowverse shows carry on, however, with The Flash set to premiere its Season 8 with a special crossover event titled Armageddon. It will see multiple characters including Supergirl's Alex Danvers. I don't know how she's going to stop the big threat that's coming, but there you go. Come over to the fellow CW program to fight an alien threat. The future of Cry as Luthor remains unknown, but the actor's eagerness to return will excite fans of Supergirl. One obvious place the villain could pop up is in Superman and Lois Season 2. I think that has to happen. He is Tyler's Lex Luthor. Have they even ever had any screen time together? I don't think they have. Did they have a little bit on Crisis? I can't remember. Which is slated to debut in 2022. Supergirl may be over, but the rest of the Arrowverse, including The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, lives on. Meanwhile, other shows such as Titans also leave room for a big DC villain such as Luthor to make a memorable impact. The Superman foe has been referenced several times in the Titans verse, with his company LexCorp making its first appearance in Season 2. So it's certainly a possibility for the actor to cross over. It's interesting, would Titans want their own Lex? Because this is a kind of campier Lex. I mean, he can be very dark. He is interesting. I think he's one of the best Lex Luthors I've seen. Now, he's not better than Michael Rosenbaum, for sure, but he's very, very good. I think he's better than the Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman one, who a lot of people liked. He wasn't my cup of tea, but I respect the fact that you like that one. But this guy definitely has a future in the DC live-action universe, and I'm talking about the films as well. So it's all becoming very, very exciting and interesting if you're an Arrowverse fan, because it's all going to mix into the DCEU now with this multiverse strategy. But certainly these shows have to be fixed a lot before they can enter the world of the motion picture. Otherwise it's just cringy cameos. And the DC live-action universe really doesn't need that at this moment. What the DC live-action universe needs now is win after win after win. And finally today, yesterday I came in with a video reading an entire Hollywood Reporter interview between James Hillard, is it whatever it is, James Hillard or Hillbed or whatever it is, right, and Henry Cavill. So I just want to reiterate one of his main points in this interview so we can just kind of discuss it. So this is what he says. Henry Cavill is hopeful he can play Superman again. There is still a lot of storytelling for me to do as a Superman, and I would absolutely love the opportunity. So he says that he's hopeful he can play Superman again. There is still a lot of storytelling for me to do as a Superman, and I would absolutely love the opportunity. So what's going on here? Is he playing Superman again? Has he shot cameos in Black Adam, The Flash, and Shazam! Fury of the Gods? Listen, I think he's definitely going to be in those 3 movies. Whether or not he's shot those cameos yet, I don't know. Because next year he's a very busy boy. We know he's doing Highlander with the John Wick writer-director as well. He's doing other things where he's playing a spy. I think it's called Argyle. So Henry's very busy next year. But I'm not one of these YouTubers who's going to tell you he's busy. He won't do it. Because Henry would drop anything, fucking anything, to play Superman again. We know it. So I think he shot his cameos for the movies. I think he did fly over to the US to do some stuff, and I think he's done that. But obviously he can't talk about that. So that's fine. But will he play Superman again in a film? I think if you want to see him in a direct Man of Steel sequel or something like that, I don't know how it works now, because we've gone from Man of Steel to the Snyder Cut of Justice League. We've gone kind of past that original second movie. But Batman vs Superman kind of is that second movie, so you'd have to jump a little bit. But if you want to see Henry in his own Superman movie again, right, on his own, as Superman, with Amy Adams and all of that, and Lawrence Fishburne, basically you have to tweet. When you see his cameos in The Flash, in Black Adam, in Fury of the Gods, you have to tweet and say how excited you fucking are. And you have to watch the shit out of those films and say the reason you watched those films was Henry Cavill's Superman. This is what you have to do. I'm advising you of this because that's what has to happen. I'm convinced he's definitely going to be doing cameos. It will be done. If he's not in The Flash and Wonder Woman is, for example, it wouldn't make fucking sense. And it would be, I mean, the fans are going to lose their shit if he isn't at least in the Flash movie. And you're saying, but Mick, it's a Flash movie, why does it matter? Because it's a Flashpoint movie and it's important. This is a Captain America Civil War movie. Superman must be in this film. It's as simple as that, and it must be Henry's Superman. I think there'll be other versions of Superman in this film as well. Henry's saying in the same interview, why can't there be many versions of Superman in the DC live action universe? And he's right when they asked him what he thinks about J.J. Abrams and Ta-Nehisi Coates' Superman of Colour. And he said it's great. Superman, goes beyond skin colour, as he does. Superman is the most purest, kindest, compassionate person in the universe. So there should be loads of versions of him, as there is going to be in DC live action of Batman and other characters. So let's do this. Let's bring Henry Cavill back in live action Superman. We haven't seen him since Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut that was shot back in 2015. That's a very long time ago. Let's put this shit right and let's bring our Superman back to the DCEU. This has been the DCEU Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and please hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And I'll be back again tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. Until then, goodbye. See you again soon.